Can you hear me? Oh, I could. Test, test,
Yep,
test.
I got you. What about me?
Yep. No, I don't.
Check. Test, test. What's a lag?
All right, everybody. Doug Fowler here from Pulaski Talks, coming to you live from St. Robert. Today's guest, Stacy Ball, candidate for Pulaski County Sheriff. But first of all, shout out to our sponsors. Thank you so much. Our gold sponsor of the week for the month right now is Prue Law, the Prue Law Office. Want to shout out the Prue Law Office. Thank you so much for making this feasible. And a shout out for vendors or sponsors and that want to be sponsors. I got some cards here for you. I'm going to be making rounds through town and hoping to chase a couple of dollars, get some better equipment, maybe even get a space to rent that we can put this live for other people to use. If you see anything or hear anything that you can't, like suddenly you can't hear me, it's done before. You can ask Mr. Pritchard. We were talking about 5 minutes before I realized that we weren't listening. Yeah. But with that, I'll invite Stacy Ball. I want to express my appreciation for you coming down. And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about yourself without going too far over the edge and taking all my thunder with the question.
There you go. All right, I'm Stacy Ball. I've been in Pulaski County since 2006. I retired from the military in 2009. I'm a retired military police first sergeant. I've been with the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. I was with the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department for 12 years. I currently reserve with the Phelps County Sheriff's Department and Crocker Sheriff's Department. Or I'm sorry, Crocker Police Department. My time at the Sheriff's Department, I was a reserve detective, and then I went to become a drug task force officer with
Gotcha.
assigned to the South Central Drug Task Force. And then I went back to the Waynesville School District where I work as an SRO, and that's where I'm at now. But I do my reserve time for Phelps County because I'm still in the drug task force and Crocker.
Now, it's kind of new to me as far as SRO. Explain what your duties are down at the SRO, because I see them and I've heard about them, and I was trying to interpret and extrapolate the details from the budget and stuff like that as the school budget, different subject, the
Right.
P2 stuff. But maybe go into detail about what you're responsible for as a or SRO.
As a school resource officer, our primary job there is to protect the teachers and the kids in the school.
Right.
We make sure that the doors are locked and the kids are doing what they do. But we also, I like to look at it as a learning experience for the juveniles.
Sure.
I'm at the elementary school, so it's not as bad as far as what happens at the elementary school as it does at the high school and the middle school, which I've also worked. But I like to look at it as a learning experience for the kids.
Right.
They all know I'm a police officer. They all know I uphold the law, but I can also be their first interference before they start to go off the edge and start doing bad things, stealing, making threats,
Right,
fighting,
right.
things like that. So when it crosses the line, when it breaks an adult law,
Right.
then it's a juvenile, it's a juvenile case.
What I like about the SRO program, it gives them a positive exposure initially to law enforcement at their level that you're able to bring. Otherwise, their first exposure may be a negative one.
Yes, absolutely.
And you deal with that on the outside as part of the task force and your other work.
Yeah, it's you're there to be a positive image to the kids,
Right.
Whether elementary or high school, so that they, like I said, they know you're a police officer, but you don't have to walk around with your hand on your gun and then talk like you're your drill sergeant talk. No, I especially elementary school. I mean, this is
Right.
the most rewarding job I've ever had.
Really?
Is working at that elementary school at Freedom. Those kids. I mean, when you could wake up in the worst attitude. Just you had a bad night. You didn't sleep
Sure.
well. I tell you what, man. You go into that school and you see them little kindergartners. They run up and they all call me Batman. they run up and hug your leg, and they see it, and you're like, hey, how you doing? I mean, anything that negative that was in your mind is all gone.
You know, to me, it'd almost be the most intimidating job to have, is that, because it's so easy to let them down. You know, that's why I respect teachers so much, and you guys on the SRO force. I mean, it's just, that's why I'd be scared to be a substitute teacher, because I go knife hand too quick.
Oh yeah. Well, the high school. I mean, the high school that was rewarding to me as well, because those kids are older. They're getting ready to graduate and live their life. So it's easier to counsel and kind of mentor them and steer them in the right, because especially with the military, because they knew I was retired, and they asked me even law enforcement questions. They want to become a law enforcement officer. They want to go to college for criminal justice, things like this. So and then obviously the negative stuff, when hey, it's not okay. You stole it.
Yeah.
You accept the responsibility. Be a man or a woman. Accept that responsibility. Deal with your consequences, and learn from this, because it's a learning experience. And that's, if you don't make it a learning experience for them, then what are you there for?
And you probably had the worst. Very seldom do you have the worst allies, because I don't hear about them going on in the school. The drug problem, this plague in Pulaski County, but it doesn't seem to be. I mean, I remember the what's the school with the lady was the child, the predator. What, Lakeway? Is it a Lakeway school?
I believe so. Yes.
And then but you don't hear about from Waynesville, our district, the Waynesville district, too much.
Well, I mean, every school district's got their issues, got their problems. And that's, I mean, we try, and I will take that the school. I mean, there's a lot of people beat them up.
Sure.
They beat up because it's a cover. I mean, working there firsthand at the middle school, the high school, and the elementary school, and seeing what those principals deal with, and seeing what the superintendent and admin folks deal with. I'm here to. I have never seen anything like. I've never seen a cover up. I've never seen. Nobody's going to tell Officer Ball.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not going to charge him with assault because we're going to handle this. That's not a principle.
Yeah.
I'm the police officer. You do your administrative thing. I will do my law enforcement.
No one hindering our buffers. It's always defer to law enforcement when the law is broken.
Yes, absolutely. I have never not experienced that.
That's great to hear.
And we work together hand in hand. Yeah. From the superintendent to the principals to the team. I mean, it's a team effort.
Sure.
And I have never been exposed to anything but that. And I'm grateful for that, because I mean, I love working there. I love my job.
I was so encouraged by Mr. Pritchard's talking about the school and the ability with this B2 funding, and it also helps out the SROs, I believe, to increase or improve security and stuff like that. It
does. It helps the entire. It's not just for one. I mean, it's the entire thing. What I wish would happen, which hopefully nobody.
Go ahead.
Just my personal opinion.
There you go.
And I know that, God bless the military and the B2 funding and Waynesville, but seeing what Crocker and Lakeway and Richland and Dixon and those schools. I mean, we have military kids in the schools, and I've never asked the question, so I don't know if they get any tiny portion of that B2 funding, but I wish that there would be more funding for them, because Waynesville is spoiled, and I mean, we rightfully so. I mean, it's the biggest school district in the county, but those other school districts, man, they work just as hard, if not harder, because they have to, because they don't have all that, and it's unfortunate. I'm not trying to take anything away from my school district.
Oh,
but,
sure.
I mean, my kids both graduated from there, and I love the school district.
All four of mine. So, I think it would probably relate. Mr. Pritchard would be smarter than me on, but I think if the percentage of the tax base, yada yada yada, this formula, if you don't have a big enough populace of military children, whatever. But you're right.
So not to take any money away from the beat. I mean, I would just like to see. I wish there was something better for some of these smaller districts to get a piece of pie.
That's the way I grew up. Small town, 27 kids in our school. And of course, we didn't have the problems when you and I were growing up like we see today. And
can I tell go vote April 2nd for Proposition 2? That's for my.
Mr. Pritchard sold me on it. I was doubtful because of the size of their budget, but it's just money's already been set aside. But we're digressing.
Nobody likes taxes.
Nobody likes taxes, but when you see what you're getting out of it.
Yeah.
So like I was talking to you earlier, we got about 11 questions I put together, and with the help of the audience, artificial intelligence, whatever I felt like asking, but no trick questions, nothing like that. But this gives you a chance. And if we get off the subject, we're not fixed on this on any schedule, but since we're talking about budget, P2, B2, all this funding part, you've taken a look at the sheriff's budget, and I'm sure you probably got a copy with you, knowing you the way I think I know you anyway. How would you prioritize the budget to enhance what we can do in the sheriff department?
All right. The budget's an animal.
Sure.
Our budget, if you look online, look on Dave Ernst's website, and you can find the budgets. They're not easy to read, but I've looked at the last several years' budgets, and the biggest thing with the budget that we can do to get more bang for the buck for our budget, which I mean, the budget is what it is what it is. That's all.
Right,
that's all I
right.
can say. And there's not a whole lot of play.
Yeah.
But the priorities as I see it going in, I want to prioritize training. The training, so we don't get enough training.
Right.
We do not shoot our weapons enough. We do not train enough on our handgun skills, our rifle skills, our transition skills from rifle to handgun.
Sure.
We don't do enough stress course shooting, and that ammo, I'm telling you now, is I mean, it's an enormous amount of money to get the ammo that you want, that you need. Small piece of that training priority, but I owe it to the deputies to get them that training. I owe it to the citizens of this county to give them that training, because when you have somebody running, I'll tell you that you always hear about these search warrants where there's some shooting and you have the officer right in front of the guy and he shoots. He's going into the room, charging into the room or chasing, and he shoots 15 rounds and doesn't hit him.
Yeah.
But then you hear about these school shootings where the school shooter comes in and he shoots 50 people in a matter of minutes.
Right.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
That school shooter's going in there hitting sitting ducks.
Yeah.
Officers, we're running.
Yeah.
We know we got to use our weapon, our adrenaline, our heart, everything about that. If you've never experienced that, then it's hard to fathom in your civilian mind of not being law enforcement, of how did you not hit him? He was right there in front of you. Well, they don't take into the fact of the adrenaline. They don't take into the fact of you have things around you, because if you see people you can't just take a shot.
Right. Right.
If you have innocence. So part of the training that for prioritizing for the sheriff's department is got to do with, or part of that budget responsibility is getting my people trained.
Sure.
How we go about that, how we prioritize that. Well, there's some things that we can do within the sheriff's department, with obviously grants.
Sure. Sure.
There's grants that's a normal pitch line for any candidate that's run for any office, not just the sheriff.
Get other people's money. OPM.
If you're not applying for grants, then you're not doing your job,
Right.
because that's money that's money there that is for you, no matter what what organization you're applying for.
It's been set aside.
But with that, when we look at that budget, we gotta first look at the jail.
Sure.
That jail was when that half-cent tax was passed. That was for a $8-9 million jail. Well, that jail, when it was finished, was $15-16 million.
Good googly moogly.
So when that budget was being put, I mean, that was a $500,000 payment for the jail.
Sure.
Off the top of the LE tax, law enforcement tax. Well, being as it was over budgeted, or I shouldn't say over budget. I wasn't involved in any of that, but
sure,
it was a double of what it was supposed to be. That's $1 million+ out of that law enforcement tax, of the $2-3 million that we get off the bat just for the jail. So that's a over $500,000 difference that's not coming to the sheriff's department.
Is that just to pay for the jail, or is that to keep her going?
That's to pay. That's to pay for the jail.
Wow, and that's not even talking about the overhead and keeping the staff. And
that's getting further. That's just for the building.
Wow.
So when you look at it like, I mean, you're in the negative, because you're not getting that $500,000,
Sure.
$700,000, because the budget will, the law enforcement, as long as people, that law enforcement tax is there, it'll go up by increments every year,
Right.
hopefully. So you get a little bit more money each year. So when you look at that, how do we offset that? Well, the jail was also funded by bonds.
Sure.
That is a tricky area.
Yeah.
Federal inmates. You look at Phelps County with millions of dollars surplus. They can buy anything they want. They're adding on to add more inmates to their jail. We don't house federal inmates. There's a work around that.
Sure.
But you got to be, because the problem is with the bonds and the sales tax. Well, we're not paying tax on those bonds, so we start housing federal inmates, and we're making money off them federal inmates. Google it, Pulaski County. You can see it for yourself.
Yeah.
There are jails. There are private jails. There are county jails that the IRS is going after for that revenue.
Really.
So that's if we can get that workaround.
Yeah.
I'm running on getting federal inmates in that jail.
Yeah.
You got to calculate, do the math. Well, real quick,
Ask Alexa.
Hey Alexa, $95 times 20. Times $1,900. Not Alexa, $1,900 times 365.
$694,000. Yeah.
That's just 20. That's just 20 federal inmates.
Really.
So with that money, that's money right here that goes to the sheriff's department.
Yeah. That's
money that's not being used in that budget. That's money that's the county taxpayers, they're not saving, but it's not putting a strain on the sheriff's department. If for some reason we run out of money, I mean, that money right there is for pay raises.
Right.
It's for vehicles.
Yeah.
It's for upkeep. It's for anything the sheriff wants. That's the sheriff's office money.
Now, knowing how that weekly meeting goes on, and those commissioners, can they touch it? Do you know?
No, that's the sheriff's office money.
That's money.
And that might scare them.
I think they probably say, "Well, we're going to take." Well,
But that's money that the commissioners. Yeah, I'm still going to get my budget, my law enforcement tax, and my general revenue funds. But when you can that's just 20 inmates.
Now, what's the capacity at our?
I believe it's 150.
Good googly movie.
So, and here's the thing with the jail: if you're not housing over 70 inmates, 75 inmates, that jail's losing money for the county.
Wow. Because
it takes, I believe it might be 70 or 65. I don't know if I'm just throwing it out, but it's $95 a day per, and that right there, those federal inmates, that's, you just got to have the beds for them.
Right.
So it's not, you don't have to, the Bureau of Prisons is going to give you that money. When they get a federal inmate and they say, "Hey, Pulaski County, we got a federal inmate we need you to house." The U.S. Marshal, we got an inmate we need you to house until, that right there, we make that space for them.
Wow.
Well, that jail's never at capacity.
Right.
I don't think it will ever be at capacity because we can't put nobody in jail or prison now. That's another story. That's another chapter to talk about. But that money right there to offset our budget, and I'm just talking about 20 inmates, that's money we get every year.
Right.
As long as we say that now with that, we have to transport these federal inmates to the jails or the federal courts.
Right.
So the marshals, nobody else comes down and gives it. So we have to provide that transportation. So that we have to have a vehicle to transport them, a van.
Mm-hmm.
The jail has to be at federal standards.
Yes.
But that's the biggest thing. But it's the hardest thing to do.
Sure.
But in the long run, it will be well worth the effort.
That's a revenue stream that can't be touched. I mean, that can't be beat either, because that's just that's.
And but now that I know that the jail's paid for by bonds, to keep myself and everybody else out of prison, there's got to be a workaround. It's going to have to be worked through the lawyers, through the through our attorneys, to see if that can even happen.
Right.
Because I believe that was one of the things that Ron Long talked about, was that jail was being built to not just to have, it was our county jail,
right?
But we were going to afford the bed space for, and I mean, I could be wrong. I'm almost, I mean, it's been a while since I heard Ron Long talk about this, but there are people out there who can back me up if you're online.
Steve Bale's online.
Well, he can definitely back me up on that, I hope.
Yeah.
But we were going to at one time house some federal inmates.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
I think JB was actually mentioned it too.
I just don't think anyone down there has, but I'm going for it.
Right.
I want to find a workaround. Sure. If we can house federal inmates, even 10, I mean 5, whatever it is. That there's one portion of that jail that was built just for so we can keep federal inmates. It's not being used that I know of. I haven't been in a jail in a while, but
are we probably housing our inmates somewhere else? Federal inmates? Do we have federal inmates, or is that just for? I didn't know if federal crimes. I don't know that.
We do not have federal inmates.
Okay.
Federal inmates go to. I don't know if I can't speak for Pulaski County. I don't know if they house them, but I definitely know Phelps County, okay. And that's great money for the city of for the county of Phelps. Sure. And that sheriff's office, because they, like I said, they're building millions of dollars to add on to this place, and
it'll probably pay for itself.
It will.
Yeah.
That they got to pay to play, but I mean they're definitely doing it right, and I would like to use that as a model, but we got to find that workaround being as bonds are the issue.
According to Steve Bales, you can see his comment right there. Couldn't do it before due to the poor condition of the jail. Okay.
It was one of the reasons it was built.
Yeah. Now, this is a great segue because you talk about your budget prioritization being training and such. Jail staff training. Probably can't harken this enough.
Okay. I'm just going to... Those jailers need training.
Right.
Those jailers need to go through an academy.
Yeah.
Those jailers, and I can only speak to the ones that have talked to me, and we can call them disgruntled. We can call them, they got whatever happened. But I know a lot that's happened in that jail. I know a lot that's happened in that sheriff's office, good and bad. I mean, it's not all negative. I'm not saying it's all negative, but in that. Those jailers are one of my priorities.
Right.
Taking care of those jailers, getting them the equipment they need, get them the pay that they deserve.
Right.
Deputies are the deputies. Everybody sees the deputies every day. You never see a jailer. They're always down in the jail.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you now, and I don't, police officers can disagree with me if they want or whatever. But those corrections officers are in the harm's way.
Yeah.
Way more than our deputies.
Every day.
Those inmates, all they have is time to think.
Right.
All they have time is to watch you as a jailer. All they have time to do is to get how you're doing things and getting how you're, because we don't mix things up. They go down here, back, and they see it every day. They come in at this certain time. Well, if they want to go off on somebody, then they're going to go off on somebody.
Yeah.
And if we do not have enough jailers to take care of those inmates, if something happens, and we've already had jailers hurt.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to get hurt, and they're going to get hurt bad.
Yeah.
And that's a lawsuit on. I mean, that if I don't take that responsibility to train them right,
Sure.
to let them do their job and give them the proper equipment, then that's on me.
Yeah.
That's on the sheriff.
I'd almost think they just assume shut it down until they're ready. I mean, the 80% solution is probably satisfactory. I don't know. I don't know enough. I can't speak smart about it. But my worry is that you're going to get a jailer killed, or in that situation, like not stepping on your toes, but talk about that situation. Somebody's getting hurt. It could be a jailer in harm's way.
And when you have one jailer, you expect, just like a police. I mean, let's say a school shooting. When if that police officer, that deputy arrives to the school, what's their job? Go into that school and neutralize a threat. Not to sit there and think, not to sit there. Go into the school, direct a threat, and take it out.
Right.
That's our job. SSROs. We hear gunshots. Our job is to go direct a threat and take out that threat.
Yeah. When
something happens in that jail, those jailers' jobs are to go to that and try and quell that situation.
Right.
Put them guys and gals back into their cells.
Right.
Get everything safe. But if we can't do that safely, and I'm asking one jailer to go in there with 25 people in that pod,
yeah.
Hopefully there's some jailers in there that that's the other thing too, is talking to people.
Sure.
You can get through a lot of things with verbal judo. As a jailer, as a corrections, I don't like to call them jailers. I like to call them correctional officers. Whether they're not in the prison. They're corrections officers as far as I'm concerned. But if they don't know how to talk to people, and we've had this,
sure,
they don't know how to talk to people, and they want to make an inmate mad.
I speak French. It's fine.
And they want to make an inmate mad. And then it's going to carry over, and they just keep hounding this inmate or just dogging this inmate or whatever, and just treating them without the dignity and respect that everybody deserves, not, inmate or not. We run into issues. That's if we don't know how to talk to people, if we don't know how to talk those situations down,
mm-hmm.
Then we're going to experience some bad things going on. And it's happened. We have people that just didn't know how to talk to people. And that's part of that. Believe it or not, that's part of training too. IPC, interpersonnel, you're military.
Yeah. Sure.
How you talk to people, how you treat people is how they're going to treat you back. Can't guarantee that with everybody, but 9 times out of 10, I treat you with dignity and respect. You're going to come back at me with dignity and respect. If I treat you like a butt, you're going to treat me like that.
Right.
And but we think of them inmates as, they're inmates, or they're trash, or they're no good people. They've done this, they've done that. Doesn't matter why they're in there. They're in there.
They're out.
So we treat them, we feed them, we house them, we make sure they get exercise, we make sure they get sunlight now. That's our responsibility, because as soon as we drop that, lawsuit.
Yep.
So as soon as we have an inmate die, lawsuit. The county can't afford to have that.
They just doubled our insurance, I read, in the last, $350,000 a year, I think we pay for insurance.
It's
I read that, if I read that right, which is very possible that I didn't, but it's just staggering the amount of money we have to pay for insurance, and it's only going to go up.
Oh, everything. Yes.
And I can imagine that having a documented, almost accredited jail staff,
that's
accreditation.
I was getting ready to say, there are things we can do to minimize that, and that is getting accredited.
Yeah.
With our police training, and jail training, because there's certain, man, I had this, Ed Fowler actually knew what I was talking about when I was talking about it. And it's been so long ago since I did, but there is a program, where we do certain training. We do the racial bias training, which we do anyway, but we go the vehicle pursuit training. We do the weapons training. We do, and I'm just throwing things out there, but we do these certain amounts of training. And we accomplish all that, and they come in and they look at our records and they see that we've done this training. They see that we've done that. They see that we've done this, and they accredit us as an accredited sheriff's office, accredited jail. There are ways to mitigate that insurance money.
Oh, sure.
Because they see we're training for that.
It's kind of like Geico want me to take that driver's training, drop $10 a month or what off my insurance,
Yeah,
but it
so-
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be something definitely to capitalize on
absolutely.
if it can be done. So, speaking of which, we're going to segue into transparency, and with the jail, with the sheriff's department, and it's just my opinion. But I don't see much transparency of a current, and then maybe for good reason. I'm not going to badmouth anybody that's going down there, but it's just frustrating for a voter and a resident of Pulaski County. Transparency when you're on your first day as sheriff. What is it? The first day sheriff. What do you do?
Well,
And it's I kind of deviate from the question, so I blew him out of the water. It's my fault. It's
yeah. Well, I'll answer. I'll get back to that.
Okay.
But as far as transparency goes, the first sheriff I worked for was Ron Long,
right.
and I love working for the man. I'm grateful that I got to work for the man because I got to see. Because a retired first sergeant, I led from the front, and that's the kind of leader that I want to work. If I'm going to be a follower, then I want to be a follower of somebody's going to lead by example, lead from the front. And I thank Ron Long for showing me what right looks like. Because that's my leadership mentality, and that's the people that I want to put myself. That's the people that I want to bring in.
Sure.
Lead from the front. Transparency. Ron Long had the town hall meetings,
Right.
and I loved them. And those town hall meetings need to come back. The people need a place. Open door policy. Well, yes, you're elected by the people. You should have an open door policy. You should not be denying anybody access to you as the sheriff, as your elected official. You come down to see Sheriff Ball. Nobody should be telling you he's not in. Well, truck's right there. Well, he's not in. He's busy. If I'm busy, I'm busy, and
Right.
they'll know.
Yeah.
But I as elected official, my responsibility is be out there in front of the people,
Sure.
talking to the people. One way we mitigate that is to bring our town halls back.
Yeah.
And I could do a traveling town hall. I could go to. I think it'd be a lot easier central location to bring to the jail, because what I want to do is like you're doing.
Yeah.
I want to put it online. I want to go live. So people that can't get, you got older folks that don't want to come out at night.
Also costs us bandwidth.
Yeah. So bring the town hall meetings back. Put them online, and have my representatives of the sheriff's office there. I want to have guest speakers. I want to have subject matter experts. So, if it's I'll just throw drugs.
Right.
If fentanyl's the big thing, it has been for several years. Somebody, a drug expert comes in. I'm not, I don't. I mean, I've worked narcotics, and I worked a lot of fentanyl. I mean, I can speak on it intelligently, but have somebody come in that's been affected, like our angel moms that have lost kids. Have somebody like that come in and talk to the community, and let the community see that a lot of overdose.
Yeah. Sure. There's some right behind you.
I've taken my share of hits.
Yeah.
Being drug task force, why didn't I do something?
Sure.
Talk to these angel moms. Talk to them, and they will definitely reach your heart.
Oh, I bet.
If they reach my heart, they'll reach somebody else's heart out there. So a parent that has a kid going down the wrong road, has a son, a nephew, niece, family member, whatever, somebody can intervene so they don't end up like them.
Yeah.
I lost my father to a drug overdose. So drugs, that's near and dear to my heart.
Sure.
You get these drug dealers off the street, and I call them drug dealing cockroaches, because where you see one, there's 100 more behind these walls.
You're right.
And
having
dealt with that, but not to get off the subject of transparency. Angel moms, experts, our prosecutor, our coroner, our medical experts coming in, our emergency medical or emergency management people coming in and talking, just giving a 5-10 minute briefing to the community about, hey, if this happens, here's what we do. Here's how we're, uh, and then back to the subject of, hey, here's what your sheriff's department's doing. We had 2,335 calls for the month, and I'm just throwing a number out
Sure.
there. We had, as a citizen, I would like to know what my sheriff's department's doing.
Absolutely.
I want to tell the people, hey, we've had this 17. We don't have to get into the weeds of the cases,
Sure.
but we've had this many calls for service for drug overdose. We've had this many calls for service for assaults. We've had this many calls for service for that, so that they see what their deputies are doing, because we don't see what they're doing.
I'd almost liken it to a map of Pulaski County and the hot spots. I mean, I was telling.
Did you read my Facebook page?
It's very possible, but it's very possible. But what I know from police work is cops. I don't watch it enough. If you're a Step Brother fan, it's hot and sweaty because it's an awesome show. But watching the Wire I don't know if you ever watched the Wire. It's like the greatest cop show in history, and they talk about juking the stats. But you can also use that to the benefit. You can actually see where where the limited resources.
Yep. You look back into I've posted about this. I want to have a battle map of Pulaski County, and that's exactly what I want to use it for. I want to start to see the trends. I want to start to see on my maps, and deputies see on that map.
Yeah.
So, and there's a question down here that I'll probably answer now, but working with our counties, which we don't do enough of. We don't work with our counties.
Counties or cities?
I'm sorry, our surrounding counties.
Gotcha.
Phelps County, Marys County, Texas County, Marys County, Camden County, Miller County. What I would like to do is get with these sheriffs and saturate an area. Hey, give me a couple patrols, and then next week or next month, then I will give you a couple patrol and just rotate around and saturate that area and just make stops, because they're in my county.
Right.
I said, hey, you're in my county. You have a commission to make arrest.
Yeah.
So working with them counties in that aspect right there, in our hot spots and their hot spots, and working together, we're working as a team with these other counties, which doesn't happen. We don't do. They see how we operate, we see how they operate, and we help each other out, because we're like no county, no municipality has enough officers to work the road, has enough people on the road.
Right.
That's one way to help that. That's one way to offset that. And we can, the people can, we worked in Miller County and Phelps County and Marys County, came to Pulaski County. We saturated this area, and we had this, and this. As somebody, as a tax-paying citizen, I want to know what my deputies are doing. I want to know what the sheriff's doing.
Sure.
What you're doing because I know I'm not going to please everybody. And I'm not going into the job as I will try, but I know I'm not going to. So you got to have that mindset. But no matter what you think of me, you're going to know at least that Sheriff Ball is doing what he can do for this county, for the better of this county.
I may not like the message, but at least I got one. At least you gave me a message.
Yeah.
I may not like it, but at least you gave me one.
Right.
I can't agree with you more, especially in today's technology. It's literally, you could have a laptop in your office, wherever you are, sheriff, deputy sheriff, whatever you are, go live. Of course, that's policies and make sure nobody else can do it, yada, yada, yada. But the communication era is now, and I think it's just an opportunity for the departments throughout the county to capitalize on. Instead of, it doesn't have to be in person. You can get it out just like that.
The other thing about the transparency too is, and it should, I want to revamp the website. I don't think the website is a very good website. I think it's good for what they're currently using it for, but I want to do a lot more things. I want to put a lot more things on that website. I want to put more emphasis on what the community can do as far as if this happens. We got that little block on the website. Hey, if this happens, fill out an online report. Somebody will get it. How do I know?
Yeah. Where's the circle?
Okay.
Where's the comeback?
And that leads me into this. You call for a deputy. I don't know, midnight, and you call the dispatch, and dispatch is, I currently have no deputies available, or or we'll call Dixon or Richland or somebody to help us out with it.
Sure.
If you're in the county and you call the sheriff's department, you deserve to get a deputy. I got it. We don't have enough deputies.
Yeah.
It's going to take some time. So when they call that dispatcher and that dispatcher says, I currently don't have any deputies available, I will get you one out there as soon as possible. I don't expect that dispatcher to call that deputy and say, hey, I got this going on. That deputy call Dixon and say, can you handle this for me? I expect one of those deputies to respond to that call. That's why we called. If a circumstance arises where we can't, then if we have a homicide going, or if we have something that's,
there'll always be something.
Yes. But if they're just, doing whatever,
right.
Now on top of that, what I will expect my dispatcher to do, I don't have a deputy available, but I will get one out to you. I will get one as soon as one's freed up. 20, 30 minutes go by. I call you back. Hey, this is so-and-so, Pulaski County Sheriff's Department. I still got a deputy that's out of service. I'm just letting you know, as soon as he gets there, as soon as he gets available, he's coming out. Another 20, 30 minutes go by. Hey, this is so-and-so from the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. My deputy's on his way. That's the way that I see that's the way it should run.
Right.
At night, now daytime a little different. Dispatchers they're pretty busy, but at night, when you're expecting a deputy out there at your house, and one's not available, I'll get one out there, and then the next morning you wake up and no deputy's been there. Well, what's that do? That pisses you off.
Yeah,
I've heard that from a lot of citizens in this county.
That'd upset you.
So that's all that's information. That's information going. Hey, these they care about you.
Sure.
We should. We get paid by the citizens of this county.
Absolutely.
If not, then why do they have us?
Exactly.
But again, there's circumstances where something will happen. It might fall to but that person that called deserves to know why.
Yeah.
Hey, they're out of service and we got something going on. They don't need to know what's going on, but as soon as they're available, and if we have to get another agency out there, then we'll get it. And hey, we need to explain that to them. Hey, we couldn't get no deputies available.
If we can get that $650,000 a year, get more deputies.
Yes.
Goes right back to that. That's awesome. Let's go down to number technology investments. Big thing with me. It sounds like you probably capitalize on that with the Facebook page or this website and stuff like that. What other ways do you think we can exploit what are technological breakthroughs or capability or capacities that we don't have that you know of?
Well, and I don't know if the sheriff's department's doing anything about it now. I know they were talking about it, but I know that our communication system. I know when we go into a building, we have these extenders, but when we go into a building, we might not be able to communicate, or we get too far from our car, we can't communicate with these extenders. There's all kinds of technology out there, and there's grants for this technology to get an upgrade in our radio system, like the Highway Patrol. I know that's been discussed. It is a pretty penny. I mean, it's a lot. Communications is a lot.
And Pulaski County ain't flat.
No, absolutely not. But we're out of our vehicle, but we have Wi-Fi service.
Sure.
We have communication, because once that deputy's out and that dispatcher can't get a hold of that deputy after a certain amount of time, and that they're calling, we got our cell phones, things like that. But even cell phones, sometimes, some areas in this county, they don't work.
Right.
But that dispatcher's wondering where's my deputy? Oh. So what do? We call the cavalry. I keep hitting this table. I'm sorry.
Fine.
But if we have something in place, something that will better our communication for our deputies, and this is safety.
Sure, absolutely.
Then that's what we need to get. But again, there's grants that it might not buy it all, but we can help ourselves out with a pretty chunk of change. What that system is, I mean, I don't know a specific system.
Yeah. It probably changes every year, the upgrades and everything else, new technology.
And that's the other thing. I mean, if you buy into certain communication systems, then you got to buy the license, and then you can only have so many things, and then It's proprietary, and you can't
Yeah.
add Motorola with Autovox or Audiovox or
Yeah.
that's. I mean,
That's also you have to do the whole fleet, and the whole everything has to be on the same platform.
yes,
And I'm sure they do that deliberately. I mean,
and
to make money.
I mean, we need to be able to. We need to be able to talk to everybody.
Sure.
Well, if I got a problem with Waynesville, but I got to go through Waynesville dispatch to talk to a Waynesville officer, or go through 911 dispatch to talk to a Crocker officer.
Right.
Um, I mean, I mean, everybody can't afford it.
Sure.
And everybody can't buy the same thing. I got it. The budget is what it is, and but that's some things that I wish we had one central daggone dispatch where everybody could talk to everybody, like these like Phelps County. I mean, it's only Rolla and Phelps, but
Sure.
it's St. James. But I mean, they're able to talk to everybody.
Yeah. Now, what's ours? We got a 911 center up by the animal shelter. What is that up there?
That's 911 center.
Okay. Now, who's that belong to? Is that their own entity, or they belong to sheriff's department?
No, that's their own entity.
Okay.
They have a 911 commission board, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. Now I remember, because I see some updates on that. Not because I remember one time the sheriff has their own dispatchers also.
We do.
Okay. So I didn't know that either.
But I mean, there might be some things where if I'm might be speaking out of turn, but I mean, I haven't talked to nobody about it. But Waynesville just got a brand new 911 911 center. If we can work with Waynesville to maybe, and that may cut some costs where.
Sure.
Instead of having dispatchers, I have clerks in that office. That it's got to be manned 24/7 because anybody's coming off the street. But instead of a dispatch center, I have clerks that are doing nothing but warrants,
Sure.
nothing but warrants, and nothing but stuff. Because, like we talked about it, I mean, our main priority as the sheriff's, and a lot of people may not know this, but working the road and working calls is not our main priority. Our main priority is serving papers
Yeah.
in that court.
Yeah.
The road is last.
If it can be
So
done.
if our court security, our court marshals, if they said, "Hey, we're all fired, we're all done," well, guess what? My deputies are working that court,
Yeah.
or until I find people to come in.
Yeah.
Luckily, we got a good court martial staff, great court martial staff. I mean, they're hard workers. And they do a great job for that court, and I believe they're paid for by the court.
That's like the bailiffs and everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but if they leave, that's my priority is protecting them judges and protecting them courts.
Yeah. And transport.
That paperwork that we serve the people for ex partes and things like that. That's we get paid to do that.
Right.
And you hear all the time that I went to serve this paper and I had this person served and they haven't received the paperwork yet. Why I don't know. You're gonna have to call the sheriff's department. I mean, I don't work there anymore, so I don't know. But I mean, there's different. So and so moved. I mean,
Sure.
they only knew one address and they moved. I mean, there's circumstances around that sometimes, but we get paid to do that job, and that is our priority.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can't agree more. We got Steve Bales on the line, so I'm going to give you a little credit here, Steve. We're going to talk about community programs. Now, what's your thought on what would be your major thrust as far as engagement with community programs in existence or surrounding or existing or maybe non-existing that need to be existing, if that makes sense?
Are you asking Steve that or me?
No, I'm asking you that.
Oh,
Steve can't talk.
I thought Steve was on the line. I thought you were.
I can call him in.
He asked that question.
Yeah, no, actually, I was thinking of him while he's on the line. He's about the only community program that I'm aware of personally for my own idiocracy. But how would you use those agencies that are in existence, local and abroad, to enhance the department's efforts?
Well, one community effort that I want to do that I've talked about in my campaign is have a community on patrol program. Community on patrol. What I see is when something happens in the community, we've had several natural disasters, the floods and things like that, tornadoes, and I have a group of people in my cops program that I can call on to that have assets that sheriff's department doesn't have. They may have ATVs. They may have horses.
Right. Right.
Side by sides, things like that they want to be a part of this program. Now they have to be vetted.
Yeah.
I got to make sure that there's no, because if we're looking for a child that's wandered off, I can't have a pedophile out there looking for a child. I mean, that obviously,
but sure.
But the vetting process, I mean, that's a background check.
Yeah.
If they want to be a part of the program, and the people that I've talked to, I've got about 75 people that have said they would like to do that, and they know that. And then I'll take, but part of that program would also helping them with training.
Sure.
But having people with those assets to say, hey, I want to be a part of your cops program, your civilians on patrol. It's like a big, huge, enhanced community watch.
Right.
Without having the little signs, because I mean, we're rural. We don't have all.
Sure.
But having that program available where I can call on to people, and the way I see it, I'm thinking as military, I have these 5 people in Dixon, Richland, Lakeway, Devil's Elbow, or what, and I have this person I can call in each area, or my dispatcher can call in these,
right,
and then they can do the telephone line.
Yeah.
Hey, are you available? Because not everybody's going to be available.
Yeah.
But if I can get 5-6 people that we're looking for somebody, or we're looking for something's going on in Richland, and I can get 7 or 8 people in Richland.
At least get eyes on it.
Because I've been out there looking for lost people. I've been out there looking for Alzheimer's patients. I've been out there looking for kids that have just wandered off. And I'm walking through these. I'm like, man, I wish I had a horse or an ATV or something. I'd cover more ground, or I can. Because who knows this area? I don't know this area.
Oh, sure.
Who knows this area better than me? All these hunters around here. All these people that lived here forever.
People that live here know the area.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that area. Hey, there's a draw right down in there, and that's we found some.
And you can get a four-wheeler down there, side by side, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. So that's one of the biggest, one of the big programs that I want to try and work. And with that, I've had a couple people that would help me with first aid, like CPR and things like that, that are certified to train it. I'm not gonna put their names out, but I've talked to them directly, and they said, hey, they would love to help and volunteer, and they're able to certify. We have people that in our sheriff's office that are specifically trained for like just they teach in the academy, or I can get somebody from Phelps County or wherever to for simple patrol techniques or simple search techniques, things like that, where we get them down there, and they're trained by they're trainers for the academy, so they can be trainers for my civilian folks.
Sure.
So I would love to get something like that started, and I would love to keep that going, because if and dads, we have the program where if you go out of town and you want somebody to look over you, they call the sheriff's office and they say, hey, can you do a drive by? I'm gonna be out for this length of time, because county, I don't know that we have too much of it, but it's coming. Squatters.
Sure. Oh my God, that's amazing.
So and we don't have a very friendly law on squatters, which if and that's one thing I'd like to talk to legislators about is put our squatting laws like Georgia and Florida right now. Let the sheriff's department, let the police departments go out there and make an arrest for illegal trespassing, because that's what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Why do you have to pay thousands of dollars for a lawyer for court that's going to happen a year later to get somebody at your house where they're destroying it? So
I agree with you on that.
We don't have very good, but that's part of the. Hey,
sure.
We have a couple people in Lakeway that are going on vacation. So somebody, hey, can you all do a drive by and call, look after the house? And what that's doing is building that sense of in the community of looking after each other, because we've lost that. I believe we've lost that.
Oh, I agree.
We don't want to get involved. We see a drug deal, we don't want to get involved. We see sketchy people going down the road. We see one of the prime indicators, a lot of cars going back at different cars day and night, going back to the house, and just 5-minute stops, 5 minutes going back. We have a lot of that around here. And drugs, we'll get down to that later. But that's what I'm talking about, that neighborhood watch thing.
Yeah. I
want them, those people, if they don't want to call the sheriff's office, they know they can call one of these 10 people that will call the sheriff's department, because this is going on. Because they know they're in my cops program, and they know that if they tell them that something's going to happen, until I build that trust and rapport with the community to see how serious I am about doing my job and working for them, then I mean, I have a lot of trust to build.
Oh, sure.
And deservingly so. People know me, but they don't know me.
Yeah.
And until you get somebody in that seat that's going to do their job and work for the people that elected them, then the trust it's not going to be there until they see that.
That transparency is going to build that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's I couldn't agree more. Let's go before I think. Oh, I forgot about it. Oh, sometimes that happens. Shoot, derailed. But anyway, let's go into that drug response. Previous interviews with Pappas and Gibbs and JB and Ron Long. One of the biggest things is seeing the prosecution of drug. I call them enablers, dealers, cockroaches, whatever you want to do. Holding them accountable and responsible for overdoses caused by them. But with the limited resources, we talked about that a little bit. How do you think maybe we can better apply those resources to getting a hold of this plague? I mean, you just talked about one of them. I keep thinking 1 of 5. I'm 1 of 5 in Crocker. There's 5 of us. We're the cops program. So I think 1 of 5. That's one program that obviously could grow to help that out.
Yeah. The first thing we got to get, I got to get the drug task force back in here, back in this county. When I worked the drug task force, I was one person,
sure,
so I couldn't be everywhere.
Like Steve.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was I was reactive.
Sure.
Until I learned to be proactive, and the problem with being proactive is I'm losing some folks that have made those calls to me. Hey, I see this and this and this. Well, when you're one person, you're trying to get that dope. You're trying to get that drug dealer.
Sure.
You got to go with what is going to get you in that door, and that's people that work for you.
Yeah.
And without going on a whole lot of detail, it is not an easy. It can be a long process. It could take, and when I talk to people, and when I was on the drug task, I was like, this isn't gonna, because hey, so and so got 10 packages from UPS the other day, and I know they're drugs. And then the UPS guy came back the other day and he dropped 5 more off, and I know they're dealing. And sure. Talk, but, and what I always just tell them is, hey, what if you were getting those packages and I just came over there and kicked in your door and I open up them boxes and they're full of stuffed animals because you're selling them online?
Right.
I'm in trouble. I'm fired. I'm done. I just violated your rights.
Yeah.
I can't just, it's not as simple as going over there and kicking in the door.
Yeah.
It is simple enough where if you know how to do it, to go over and do a knock and talk and
sure.
BS your way in, because that 99% of drug work is BS.
Or even just communicating with the person. Yeah. Hey, listen.
So, hey, I don't care about the marijuana, man. I'm not here for the marijuana. What I'm here to talk to you about is this.
Yeah.
And, if I don't want to talk to you in front of your neighbors here, but I mean, I don't want nobody to see them, but, go inside just real quick, talk to you real quick. Yeah. And then once you're inside, it's like,
you got eyes on the target.
Wait a minute, man. You said it was just marijuana. Now I see what's a meth pipe there.
Come on.
Now we got that just opened up the door. But now marijuana laws, that you can't use that anymore. It's done. It's legal.
Yeah.
But before that law was there, that was our easy way in.
Right.
What Missouri they've taken that away from us, and hey, they voted for it. It's legal. Hey, you don't make it a law enforcement problem. It won't be, then it won't be a problem for you if you're doing it legally. But as far as the legal drugs, getting a task force back in here, getting somebody that knows how to work or gets trained, and I need a bulldog. I need somebody that's going to be proactive and go after it. I talked about one drug task force that I wanted to bring in. I don't know if that's going to be the end. There's several drug task forces around here. It's just getting the biggest bang for the buck for the county, because some drug task force you got to pay.
Right.
Then you got to pay for the truck, and then you got to pay for, so the counties, I would be paying for this, where
I had no idea.
Where I worked for the other one the drug task I worked for, I was paid by the county, but I was assigned to the drug task force. They gave me my truck. They gave me my money. They gave me everything I needed to do my job as a drug enforcement officer. So it only cost the county a person.
They're most likely paying for anything or anyway.
They're paying for the training. They're paying for your hotels when you go to training. They're paying to make sure you're always up to date. Everything.
Sure.
I don't, that drug, I don't know if that drug task force is the answer anymore.
Right.
But we have MIDMO, we have LNIG, we have other drug task forces that I would like to talk to see where the biggest bang for the buck for this county is, because it might start off with one person. It needs to be about 5.
Yeah.
One person is. I mean, I
How many square miles we got? 50,000 square miles.
what's 521 or so square miles.
That's a lot
For this county.
Cover.
Yes, and it's not when
yeah.
you're talking about, because now you're throwing in surveillance.
Yeah.
Surveillance. If you're out on a county road, you just can't park on the side of the road and do surveillance in a brand new Ford F-150. I mean, you have to. I had a ghillie suit.
Sure.
I had undercover vehicles. One of our people gave me an undercover. It was a nice car. I'm not gonna say what kind it is, but that's what I used for my undercover work.
Right.
It had a dent and had a damage on the front right side, and I mean, tinted windows, and I mean, they didn't know the difference. So, like I said, with that is finding the biggest bang for the buck with the task force, so that we get what we need to get for this county, without having to pay an arm and a leg to get it, because it might only be one person. But if I had a task force where they provided the vehicle, the training, the money,
right?
Because buy money is, I mean, I can't open up my own drug task force because it cost. I mean, just my buy money, it was $1,000, $1,500 a month.
Wow.
Just maintaining that and buying dope with it. Small town Pulaski County can't afford that.
Of course.
But these drug tasks is paid for by the state, where we got a statewide commission.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that would come with that is some drug task force still undercover work. So if I'm in Pulaski County, I might go to this other county and do some undercover work for that county, for that area drug task force. But in return, they come back to Pulaski County.
Right.
We had a pretty nice size. COVID screwed up the bang. Usually when you got a drug task force, you have officers saturate the area, and you go in and you just round people up and you get them in jail and you start interviewing.
Right.
With the way that it's going now, or the way it was with COVID, when I believe it was 78 warrants for my drug buys.
Right.
But you got to think that that's not 78 one-time deals. That's, to get a good prosecution, you got to have 2 to 3 deals. So that's my team that going 2 or 3 buys on that same person and just rotating around.
Time, and
it takes about a good roundup is about a year.
Yeah.
And luckily for, when I did my roundup, that was right around the election time. So that made the sheriff look good.
Yeah. And
it should, because it's
a team effort, Sheriff.
Yeah.
Just figure it out.
That's
well, not just figure it, but you know what I mean.
But with COVID, it was they just sent out the warrants, and as they found them, they picked them up. So it wasn't sexy looking.
Sure.
I want COVID's pretty much, well, I don't want to say it. It's the flu's gone, but to get something like that, a huge roundup, and the citizens see that bang for the buck. I mean, it's an eye opener, and it's something you just can't. It looks good for everybody,
Sure.
not the sheriff, but it looks good for because it is a team effort.
Absolutely.
Because I didn't get a lot of my stuff. I didn't get a lot of my stuff accomplished because, I wasn't as good as I was in the drug task force without the help of my deputies.
Right.
Without the help of my state police, without the help of my city cops and my Chief Currington and Chief Cordova, feeding me that information of, hey, look at this, look at that, look at this. So, hey, I stopped this person. They had a 1/4 gram of meth, and I'm in a jail talking to them. So we got to get back to that. And that's part of that's not that's the team effort, because that deputy found that 1/4 gram of meth.
Sure.
That turned into 7 ounces of meth. Hey, deputy, great job. Because guess what? That 1/4 ounce of meth, that just turned into 7 ounces. So,
Yeah.
hey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I'm going to age myself here. There's no Lone Wolf McQuaid's now. That's a great movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris. But yeah, there's no way. I mean, it'd be from the prosecutor's office, sheriff's department, police, the municipality, law enforcement. Yeah, there's no way anybody could do it by himself.
Yeah, it's a team effort, and you, as a drug enforcement officer, a task force officer, you have to depend on your deputies. And
Sure.
you have to depend on those police departments to feed you that information. Because if not, you're just sitting there, you're twiddling your thumbs.
Yeah.
And I still have people that work for me that I still talk to that feed me information, and all right, okay, hey, let me know if it needs to go anything up. Let me know what's going on. And why did they talk to me?
Sure.
Because I was fair to them. You helped them out.
Yeah.
With whatever way, whether it's and I'm gonna say whether it's a charge or whether it's probation, whatever.
Right.
There's some give and take. Or if they just want to work, if they have no choice, they just they get to earn a little bit of money too.
Sure.
So that's the give and take, and that's where that money comes into play.
I got a break for Steve. Steve, how many push-ups can Chuck Norris do? I'm gonna wait for you.
Oh, he's like 70 some years old, isn't he?
Chuck Norris can do all of them. I seen that today on Instagram or something. How many push-ups can you do? All of them. So, I got 2 questions left before I forget. I don't know much about anything, but I don't know what I seen some comments thrown through the cyberspace about constitutional sheriff. I don't know what that means, but I seen it pop up as a question for one of the other candidates while I was looking at feeds, and I don't know what is it regarding the Second Amendment.
Well, there if you look at it, there's the Constitution is that is the sheriff is this county is the sheriff's,
right.
The Constitution, whether it's your Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, whatever amendment, that's, and when we talk about federal government overreach, if you don't know if you don't have the balls to stand up for your citizens, you don't need to be in the sheriff's office. You don't need to be a sheriff.
I agree.
Especially now with look at Illinois, that governor up there has passed all these laws against banning assault rifles and their ATF's trying to ban the pistol braces.
Sure.
Well, I have 2 of them. I have 2 pistol braces. Come to my house and get my rifles if you want. Come on.
Gotcha.
But I would expect if a federal agency showed up to my house to get my weapons or to do something, I would expect they better be calling the sheriff's department first, because they've overreached their bounds.
Right.
Because the other thing is I'm not going to the sheriff doesn't enforce that ban.
Yeah.
That Second Amendment is not to be infringed upon. No. And the way that the government's trying to do that every school shooting sparks this back up.
Sure, absolutely.
I
don't remember. I got a whole slew upstairs, and they're just sitting quietly.
The sheriff is the last constitutional officer for the stronghold for the citizens of this county. We are elected by the people. We swear that to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States and the Missouri Constitution. With that is I mean, if you don't know the Constitution, if you don't believe in the Constitution, we spent years in the military. And I added the Missouri Constitution when I decided to raise my hand as a deputy sheriff and as in the county or in the city. If you look at the ways there are like constitutional sheriffs that it's only the Constitution,
right?
Which I get it, but I don't want to say it's extreme, but
variables.
When I think about a constitutional sheriff, I believe in the Constitution. I believe in your constitutional rights.
Right.
So I'm a constitutional. I take the oath to protect and defend you upon that Constitution and that state constitution. And if I can't do that, then obviously that's the biggest biggest threat to your rights.
Yeah.
With the federal government.
But there's also the concept, or I should say, is that you are enforcing the laws that were passed by the legislative branch, so to
Yes.
speak. So you have the laws to enforce, and then because you can't charge anybody. Is that yours or mine? Oh, we got somebody. I got a text message. Oh my god! Hold on, I'm checking the text message. Come on, this I use. I don't know. It's the weather.
There's a great amendment out there that our forefathers saw, that protects, that helps us protect our state,
Yeah.
each state. And that's the 11th Amendment. 11th Amendment. If it's not, is that a text?
I was just making sure I didn't miss nothing. Usually I have a producer. Oh, there it was. Who wrote this text? Is it? I don't want to sign it again. It protects the office, prohibits it. This is what it says. Is this you, Steve? I'm going to bet it's Steve. This is not what constitutional sheriff pushed for. It protects the office, prohibits the state legislature from reducing the office's power and changing their duties. It also discusses the removal process for sheriff. Well, if you could chime in there so I know what you're talking about. Thank you so much for the text.
Yeah, the luckily we have a state government with a governor and that
Ex-sheriff?
see what. Well, yeah, he is. That see what the federal government's doing and is helping protect our rights as citizens of the state.
Yeah.
And it's not a problem for the sheriffs to enforce that because he protects us. But when you got a state, when you get a government like Illinois has got, and they're trying to do, and you got, I think just about every sheriff in that state has said, I'm not enforcing that.
Right.
You could tell me all day long, but I'm not doing it. I'm not enforcing it's their right to have that weapon. As long as they're not a felon, as long as they get it legally. I mean, what I've been asked, hey, you stopped me on the side of the road and I got a gun in the back of my car. I got a rifle in the back of my car. Okay, you got a rifle in the back of your car. You don't reach for it and we're good.
Yeah.
Are you going to check it? Why do I need to check it? I didn't pull you over for the right, unless I pulled you over for something involving it in that.
Right.
But that's not my concern. My concern is what, the reason I stopped you is for doing 79 on a 35 or, whatever.
Right.
And I got a hand. I've been stopped by state police right here. I had my headlights off,
right,
but I had running lights on, but I didn't have no tail lights.
Right.
The trooper pulled me over. I don't have to tell you don't have to tell a law enforcement officer. I'm a concealed carry weapon holder, so I don't have to tell law enforcement, hey, I got a gun. But he pulled me. I was like, hey, I got a gun on my side. He's like, I just want to let you know. And he's like, hey, don't pull yours, I won't pull mine. Like, fair enough.
There you go.
Because he's like, hey, come back to my car and talk to me.
A little bit of common sense goes a long way.
Yeah.
My last question. We've had you for an hour and we are tickled to death and really appreciative. Is there one thing or multiple things you'd like the viewers to know, the public and the voters to know about you that we haven't covered, that I overlooked or haven't said, or we talk about?
Well, yeah, if you can't tell, or if you've never talked to me before, I'm pretty passionate about what if I'm going to take this, I'm passionate about everything I get into.
Right.
I was passionate about the drug test. I was passionate about working for the sheriff's office, when I started with Ron Long and up until, I wasn't there. The passion that I have for doing the job of being the Pulaski County Sheriff is something that it drives me every day to do better. It drives me every day to learn more. It drives me every day to think about what I can do to help this county, help the deputies, help the jail, and hopefully people have heard me talk and have heard some of my ideas and some of my plans, and it's going to be overwhelming. I mean, I'm retired first sergeant. I mean, I hop and pop. I mean, there's people tell me all the time, man, when do you sleep? I don't. I go to. I'm like a drug addict. I mean, you wake up wanting drugs, you go to bed wanting drugs. Well, I wake up wanting to work, and I go to bed wanting to work. In my mind, and I mean, it's constantly rolling. My girlfriend said, you need to go. I mean, it's constantly. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll just start writing on my notes.
Yeah.
It's just something that drives me, and you need that drive for this kind of job. I mean, it's not a 9 to 5 job. Once 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 you're in there, and I've said this over and over again. Once I'm done with my admin duties, whatever I got to accomplish with whatever admin duties I have, I'm out on the road.
Right.
I'm working with the deputies. I'm working with the detectives. I'm helping not to micromanage,
Sure.
not to take over for them. Uh, it's a lead from the front thing. If I have deputies that are on calls and their call comes in, hey, this is 300, I got it. Why can't I? Just because I'm the sheriff doesn't mean I can't take a call.
Sure.
Just because my chief deputy, if I have a chief deputy is on the road,
You read my mind. I was going to ask you that next.
why can't he take a call?
Yeah.
Why can't my lieutenant take a call? Why can't it's a team effort.
Sure.
And I expect anybody I bring in my leadership team and we've talked extensively about that. That's a priority.
Sure.
That is something that will, it could be a deputy's got a sick wife at home or sick kids and got to go home with the kid. Now we got to let one less deputy. Hey, I got half the shift. You take the other half.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or I'll take the shift. I mean, it's once you, if you clock out at 4:00 every day and then just wait for a phone call. I mean, that's I mean, I could go home, go to, take a nap and then wake up at 9:00 at night and be like, I'm going to hit the road.
Yeah.
And work till 11, 12, 2:00 in the morning. Not, again, to micromanage.
Sure.
That's the drive. That's the passion I have. To me, that's what you need to have as a sheriff. And I've seen that from a lot of sheriffs. And I'll revert back to Ron Long. I mean, the first search warrant I went out to that I was on, who was out there? Ron Long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Why's the sheriff out here? He's like, he comes to all of them.
Wow.
He pretty much went to all of them. But if there's a big search warrant going on, if there's something going on in the county, and my team's going in there, I'm not out there I'm out. If something goes wrong, if something goes bad, I'm out there. I'm out there answering the questions because we've had. It wasn't a big search warrant, but a search warrant, and we had an accidental shooting.
Mm-hmm.
It might happen for whatever reason. That's for the investigation to realize.
Sure.
But if I wasn't out there and somebody didn't call me on that, and I wasn't out there as soon as it happened, I'd be beside myself.
Oh yeah.
I'd be chewing somebody's. I'd be getting into somebody.
And all my jobs that I've been into as a civil service has always talked about you don't want your face on CNN, or your boss's face on CNN unless they want to be there. And that's that should be, in my opinion, chief deputy, or sheriff's job is to interact. The face of the organization.
Exactly, 100%. Because if you don't know who your sheriff is in the county, then that's the sheriff's problem because he's not out there.
Yeah,
you can't. I do not want nobody in this county to not know my name.
Yeah.
Not for for what. Hey, who's the sheriff?
Good or bad?
Who's who's the sheriff of Pulaski County? If they can't say Sheriff Ball right off the bat, then they might go back.
Sure.
But if they can't get the Sheriff Ball, then I'm not doing my job because I'm not the face of the department. That's the sheriff's. That's one of the sheriff's priorities. Something happens. This county is all under the sheriff.
Yeah.
Anything that happens in this county, good or bad, it's the sheriff's responsibility. It's incumbent on the sheriff to be able to explain. We have if there's a death, I mean, there should be something coming out.
Yeah.
Hey, here's what happened, or here's what we have,
right,
and here's how we're dealing with it. And as soon as we know more information, then you'll know. Yeah. Not to get into the weeds of the investigation, but because what's that do? That leaves people like, oh, they're covering it up.
Yeah,
something's something fishy going on. I mean, I knew it, and that's not the case at all. But they don't know any better.
And the challenge, we have one person, press, Gerald Marina. He's it. So it's going to be incumbent on the whoever becomes sheriff. That transparency is key, and can be able to communicate directly with the public on specific issues.
And I'll leave it with this, and you can wrap up. But I think if the citizens of this county can look at my Facebook page, look at my website, look at my leadership, look at my training, look at my experience, I'm not the greatest person in the world, but I've done a lot.
Yeah.
And I think I've done. I know what I from what I've done as a deputy, detective, task force, working in our schools. I think that has given me the experience, has given me the opportunity to be in the position I'm at now.
Yeah.
I didn't just wake up and say I want to be sheriff.
Yeah.
I mean, it took a lot of praying. It took a lot of thought. It's. I mean, I've been asked 100. Even the day I filed,
Yeah.
I was asked by somebody else filing, "Your last chance to back out?" I was like,
No.
"Nope, I'm in it to win it, baby. I'm in it."
It's just like I was talking to JB. He's talking about that first year. He's gonna better bring a cot.
Yeah,
You know?
it's going to be hell.
Yeah.
I expect it to be,
Yeah.
because my job is to change the perception of that county sheriff's office, to earn the trust of the people in this county, and to show them what right looks like. What the potential in that sheriff's office is immense,
Right.
and you know I believe I'm the one that can bring it out. I mean, that's as all candidates, I'm sure they believe they shouldn't be running, but just Stacy Ball, I believe I'm the man for that job.
Awesome.
And with my military, with my law enforcement, it's all encompassing. And I revert to that military trip, but that's my foundational.
Sure.
That's my foundation. And, it's what made me who I am, what developed me and gave me my moral compass and my fortitude and my attitude, my beliefs, my values, and my passion to want to do better,
Sure.
to want to make things better, to want to help people. Because if you're not helping the people, I mean, it's why have elections if you're not?
Well, exactly. And why would you want that job if you're not? You ain't gonna do it for the money. It's not the best paying job in the county.
No.
And you could walk right into post or whatever, do 13 whatever load job. Yeah, I got some good comments. A lot of potential from Rosie Ross. You have a lot of deputies who support you. Steve, thank you so much. JB and Ron Long.
Thank you, Steve.
Hey, man, appreciate you chiming in, Steve, as always.
Was Ron Long on there?
No, I don't see him. I was going to bring him on. I can zoom in, give you a surprise, With this, I want to appreciate Stacy for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Doug, very much. I
Anytime.
appreciate you giving us this forum to get out there to the community and to speak on our behalf or let us speak on our behalf to they have any questions or questions and to give us this forum to answer them.
Absolutely. And you're welcome back anytime, remotely or direct, however
Okay.
you want to do it. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our sponsors. If there's no phone calls, I'll open the line. I got 2 minutes. Phone number's at the bottom, 573-408-0339. If you got anything you want to ask Mr. Ball. I've got an Apple phone, so it just makes it so hard some days.
Awesome. I answered all the questions.
There you go. Good job. That was quick. Thank you, everybody, for chiming in. We're going to, once again, thanks to Mark Brew, gold sponsor. Sponsor of the day is, hold on a second. I'd messed up. But anyway, sponsor of the day is A to Z Extermination. Thank you so much, Zach, for supporting the show. And we'll transition to our credit scene where everybody have a great day. Thanks again. And we're out.